I have used voice dictation for many years, and I recommend it for people with repetitive strain injury, but I also recommend it to everybody because it saves you so much awkward hand use. We were talking about Dragon, and I wanted you to talk about why it's so valuable for people. What does it do for you? How does it save your hands?
And it will essentially perform voice to text. So it turns your voice into text. So that saves your hands on the keyboard. And of course, it can also control your computer. So that way it can pretty much replace your mouse. So the keyboard and mouse, as I think you know, can be very tough on people's hands.
You estimate how many of your clients have repetitive strain injury?
I have two sets of clients, Dragon professional users, which are essentially non-medical. So obviously I have Dragon medical users, those are physicians. And so for the non-medical, they can be anyone from insurance brokers, bankers, to any occupation. Of the Dragon professional users, I would say about 80% of my clients have repetitive stress injury or other hand issues. And what gives me joy to see them actually using Dragon in a capacity that exceeds what they were doing before, which is really nice. And of course, alleviating the pressure on their hands.
I was looking at something about how fast Dragon is, or Dictation, I should say. Dictation is just so much faster than typing.
Oh, it is. It is absolutely. I mean, I dictate probably about 120, 140 words per minute when I get going. And I used to type around 100 words per minute before I got injured. And so, yeah, it's definitely a benefit there. But also, again, controlling your computer environment, being able to say, search Google for Deborah Quilter. Right. And then websites about you show up instead of having to open the browser, go to Google, right? You can have Dragon do that all for you in one fell swoop.
Yes. And I find that Dragon's a very good listener. No matter how fast I talk, it can keep up with me. I mean, it's just right there, right behind me, getting every word.
Exactly.
It's not that costly, but there is a cost to Dragon. So what would you say to employers? And here we're talking about employers. Why should they invest in a voice dictation program for their employees? And I'm voting that everybody gets one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And when I've done demos in the past for a specific employee at an employer's workplace, of course, the employer sits around the table and they're all, I want one, right? Just for the efficiency. But getting back to your question, having a worker off on short-term or long-term leave is costly, right? It costs the insurance company, it costs the employer money, and they also have to replace that person for the short or long term. So in essence, the employer is spending more money to have someone off work and convalesce. And oftentimes when they do a return to work, graduated or other, people become re-injured. And so the ideal situation would be for employers to have Dragon at the ready and tell their employees that we have this technology available for you. And I have worked with one company that does this. So the moment that an employee complains of hand pain, they get Dragon. They get the training, everything, and then they're off and running. And even once they get better and improve, most of them continue to use Dragon because they've realized how much more efficient it is.
I heard a story once of a top salesperson, and this person was bringing millions of dollars into the company, and they couldn't replace her. Yeah. She was good. Even 3 people couldn't have replaced the amount of income that she brought into the company. So I think that, it's a small price to pay. It's negligible.
Oh, it is. Compared to that, it's very negligible. I mean, the software will run you anywhere between, $300 and $500, microphone, a couple $100, if that. And training, of course, would be useful on top of that, which is, another cost. But in the long run, it's a drop in the bucket for most companies.
let's talk about training, because there is a learning curve. It doesn't just happen. You have to learn the commands. And then again, how helpful it is to have a coach.
Yes, yes, it really is. It makes a huge difference. And oftentimes an employee will get Dragon, who knows what kind of microphone, and they'll get either a PDF or a document that someone on the internet wrote somewhere, and or just the help files, and they're told to figure it out on their own. And then they just don't know what to do. I run into this all the time. And so it takes a while sometimes for them to bring me in. Now, sometimes they know I exist, so they bring me in as a trainer. But what's important about that is the learning curve is steep in the beginning. It really is steep. And, there's the adage, you don't know what you don't know. So most people have no idea the commands that you can use to truly be hands-free, right? From speed editing to researching on the web, using Outlook for messages, you can pretty much eliminate the mouse and keyboard and save your hands. So if you have a coach help you with that, then they're empowered. Like yesterday, I had a great session with a woman who needs to use Excel in her job all the time. And she was getting really frustrated. I said, okay. I said, this is going to be our focus today, because we have a number of sessions anyway. And I said, let's just focus on Excel. And I used the basis of this information you can use to apply to other applications, but the focus was on Excel. So a good teacher will adapt completely to the student's needs. And we had a lot of fun. By the end, she was just floored. And nothing gives me greater joy than to know that that person is happy, empowered, and using Dragon. And she said to me, there's no way she could have figured any of this out on her own. And it's true.
It is true. I've had that experience. And when you do discover a command, you think, why didn't I know this years ago? It's so much easier.
Yes.
But even rudimentary, as I was saying before, it's better than typing and using the mouse.
Yes.
This brings us back to another issue, which I kind of hate to bring up, because a lot of people have Macs. They don't have a PC.
Yeah.
And Dragon won't work with the Mac. So, I've taught people how to dictate on their phones. And,
right.
But is there anything that you know of that Mac users can do?
They have two options, well, three. One, they could buy a PC. Sorry, I know that doesn't go well with Mac people, but they can run what's called Parallels on their Mac, which basically creates a Windows emulator, and then Dragon can be installed on that. But then they're basically turning their Mac into a PC, and that's not always a good thing either. Mac does have their own voice to text. Built in, I think, to the latest operating system, if not even a couple operating systems before. It's not as powerful as Dragon, but it's something. It's better than nothing. So
I wonder if they have coaches for that, because this voice to text is complicated. You have to know the commands, and it's so helpful to have someone just hold your hand a little bit in the beginning.
Exactly. Well, that would be worth, searching for.
Well, I want to thank you for elucidating us about the joys of Dragon.
Oh, you're welcome.
I really encourage everybody to investigate. If you have a PC, see if you can get it and try it out, because it's really, really worth it to save your hands. Even if you don't have an injury now, you don't want to get one. So that's just something to think about.